Hey guys, Luke here. I'm here to preview round 14 of the 2015 NRL season. Now this is going to be a little bit of a different format. Usually I just put some just random gameplay from Rugby League Live 2 or whatever, but I feel as though it'd be a lot more beneficial for you guys if you could see the team lineups that I'm looking at, and courtesy of Fox Sports, you can see the thing. If you just type in NRL lineups, it'll come up, one of the first ones, and yeah, it will take you to that page that I'm on. Now let's go through all the games. There is only 4 games. You can see here a lot of teams have a buys. In fact, half the league has buys, and that's all due to state of origin. So yeah, some of the teams that are playing, like especially like the Bulldogs and stuff, are just completely wrecked from origin. But anyways, let's go through all the games. We'll start off with Tigers and Rabbitohs. Now at full strength, obviously you pick the Rabbitohs, but they're not really full strength, and we've seen with the Rabbitohs without Adam Reynolds, they're, I'm not going to say useless, but they're very average at best. That's with Inglis. With Inglis gone, that's another level. They've stepped down. I don't really know how they go, but at the same time, Tigers really rely on Robbie Farah. Dean Hallertau, I like Dean Hallertau, he's a good player, but Robbie Farah is their captain, as well as like the hooker spot is a very, very important position. Chris Lawrence in the second row game this week. Didn't really see how he played because I was watching the Manly game last week, but scored a few tries, so it must have went okay. But in terms of who I think is going to win, it's a very tough one. But I'll go with the Rabbitohs. I just think there'll be a few individual bits of brilliance, maybe like Alex Johnson stepping up, Dylan Walker, John Sutton-Keary, the few Burgess lads that are still on the side. I think that'll just be enough to get them home. Although I could definitely see Tigers just running rampant, just too much speed in that, and just, funnily enough, they could probably got a little bit more experience in the back line compared to the Rabbitohs, which probably doesn't happen too often for the Tigers. But I will say Rabbitohs 1-12. I think they'll just muscle it out, really. Okay, moving on. Sorry, grind it out, I should say. Wow. Moving on to Rabbitohs versus the Roosters. So you look at the team lineup. Sam Tompkins back. Warriors, probably the least affected side of origin. And probably a good thing for them that they are actually playing. I think they've got 2 players in origin, both in the forwards, and generally you can sort of cover, a forward or 2, depending, unless they're like outstanding, like normally like a Paul Gallen or something. If they're out for like Sharks, it'd be hard to replace him. But I think Ryan Hoffman, a big loss. Jake Lehman, a big loss. But like I said, I think they can replace him just for 1 game or so, which I think they'll be perfectly fine doing that, because it's at home. And also due to the fact that Roosters have got quite a lot of players missing, I will say I think the Warriors will win, and I'd like to say pretty comfortably, but you just never know with the Warriors. They're just so hot and cold, and I mean they might come out and blitz them in the first half and then throw away a 30-point lead. Like, that's just how Warriors are. Colorado Harrell back in the side. Interesting to see how he goes. Like we all know he's good with the ball, but he's pretty poor in defence at times. Just not necessarily like missing tackles, like one-on-one tackles, but in terms of just being able to read the defence, which is a lot more important, I think. For Taylor Mariner, looks like the guy who's come in for Hoffman. And, there's always been sort of big-ish raps on him through 20s and like reserve grade and that sort of stuff. Interesting to see how he goes. Yeah, in terms of the Roosters team, Tuivasa-Sheck's still there, Maloney's still there, and Jake Friend's still there. So, they got 3/4 of the spine still there. Jackson Hastings in the halfback spot. I don't think he's played halfback for them, if I recall correctly. So this would be interesting to see how he actually goes. Because, Jackson Hastings, they all say he's going to be like the next big thing. But at this age, he looks like a good player, but like nothing to say like he's going to be like the next superstar. So maybe it's just because he hasn't, had the opportunities yet. So he's finally getting a bit of an opportunity here at halfback. Probably a short-term one, as you expect Mitchell Pearce to just come in, whatever, and he's probably not going to get a spot for a long time. Or maybe he'll play fullback when Tuivasa-Sheck's gone, who knows. Ferguson coming back in the centres, that's a big in for them. Daniel Tupou missing out on origin, so he's still there. But yeah, I just think Warriors will be way too strong, and I will say 13+, because I think they'll get a bit of a roll on and maybe just go on with it. Moving on to Titans and the Bulldogs. Now, Titans not really affected too much. Have they even got a player? Nate Miles is the only one, I think, for State of Origin, if I recall correctly, with Greg Bird being suspended in that. Bulldogs, they're missing a lot of players. Missing both the Morris lads, Who else? Josh Jackson, David Clemmer, and that's it. Oh, and I understand Hawkinson's playing, but not a loss. Titans lineup, it's pretty good. Like I said, it is pretty much unchanged. They've got a few good players. Oh, sorry, LG is out. That's actually a huge loss. I'd say him and Caesar forming a little bit of a combo there. Caesar's been playing pretty well. Mortimer, I'm not impressed by Mortimer at all. He'd been playing hooker beforehand. Him at halfback just doesn't really make me be like, oh shit, like he's probably gonna rip us apart. But in saying that though, he did play a game for the Roosters at halfback against Bulldogs when they had so many State of Origin players out, and he ripped us apart. So I suppose he does have the ability. Lachlan Burr coming up against his former team. In terms of the Bulldogs though, you look at their squad, and I do have to say, for the most part, that they've probably got their strongest. Well, sorry, Brett Morris not there, but Parrott's played a fair bit of fullback lately. He hasn't played great there, but he's been playing there. Reynolds and Umbai, I'm very happy with that halves combination. This is a Bulldog supporter, in case you didn't realise, but yeah, Moses and Reynolds, I think they are the halves pairing that should be like full-time one. So Hawkinson isn't really a loss for me. Leachy coming in. The biggest loss would be James Graham, obviously, who's out due to injury this time. No suspensions, although he was out due to injury last time. But in saying that though, Casiano, like all the forwards really stood up last week. Casiano, Tolman played the whole game. Eastwood was outstanding. Pritchard was outstanding. And Lloyd Parrott hasn't played first grade in a while, but he's come into the lock position, and I'm expecting him to do the job pretty well. The bench doesn't really strike me as being that impressive, but I suppose it's good enough. Tim Brown and Essie, quite impactful. Kafusi, I'm not really sold on. Falalo, he seems like he might be an okay prospect, but at this stage nothing amazing. But I think just the experience in the Bulldogs team, and I think they just have too much power in the forwards, I think. So I'm going to say Bulldogs 1-12. Moving on to Storm taking on the Eels. Obviously Storm missing, all their important players. Obviously Cronk out due to injury, not Origin, but it still doesn't matter. So yeah, they're very depleted. In saying that, they're up against the Eels, who they are missing Hopewadi, but pretty much unscathed from Origin. In Hopewadi, you can probably cover him. But just Eels, I don't know what's with the Eels. We saw last week they're very capable, and I say this every week about the Eels. Like if they're on, they're on. But it seems to be lately they are on for 3/4 of the game, and then they just drop off so much that the team can come back no matter what the scoreline is. So it's hard to say. It's hard to be confident and say the Eels are going to win. And for that reason, I want to say the Eels, but at the same time, I keep thinking Storm are going to be able to do it because they're just too consistent. I think Blake Green's been pretty good this year. He might be able to get them home. Jesse Bromwich will need a big game. Hinchcliffe's pretty capable of playing a little bit of hooker. They definitely got some capable players of filling in, if just for the one game. And against any other side, you'd probably say no chance to the Storm, but to the Eels, I just can't back them. So I'm going to go with the Storm 1-12. Sorry, Eels fans. But that's where the video is going to end. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you can leave a like, subscribe to my channel. Leave in the comments what are your predictions for round 14. I think it's round 14. I should just check quickly. Round 14, yes. And I will be doing some State of Origin, sort of going over the sides for the next few days, and then an Origin preview. So hopefully you will enjoy that. Alright, bye guys.